the sins of the father shall be visited upon the son. That's a saying that has perhaps a little bit of relevance rather than it being a father-son kind of ordeal. This time around, it's the sins of the Glazers shall be visited upon Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos. And it really feels like it's going to be a bit of a painful sting. FFP is the subject of this video, and it's back. It's back again. We're here yet again, and we're talking about how the Glazer ownership and Glazeronomics and whatever else can be discussed about the finances of Manchester United over the past 10 years is that we buried ourselves into a very deep hole that we kind of need a bit of a rope dropped in to help us climb back out. Hopefully, and the hope is that despite this almost insurmountable odds for Ineos's case, that we can find a way to wiggle out of this tight spot. And whether we've got the ability to do so in terms of the people that we are set to appoint. Now, at this time of recording, Dan Ashworth deal still, compromised perhaps by a 20-month garden leave period, as well as that, a very for a director of football at least, a very very high, rather maybe call it extreme fee, severance pay package, perhaps we can call it, for Dan Ashworth. That deal's still on hold, and at the moment, perhaps talking about the compromise. We'll have to see where that goes, and I believe there will be a compromise met there. Whether it's dependent on just the talks and how well they go with Newcastle, or whether it's just more a little bit reliant on whether Newcastle gets somebody in to replace Dan Ashworth, that they can then say, well, actually, cool, our feelings and our mood has changed a bit, so now we'll be happy to let you go. On perhaps a much more cheaper basis. We still want a payout because we're cancelling a contract here, so of course a payout might be expected, but perhaps a little bit more lenient. But things that are not so lenient in the world of football is FFP. Everton will tell you all about that. Nottingham Forest perhaps would tell you all about that. Various other clubs, Chelsea, Man City, all of these different clubs that have had the either the actual, slap on the wrist and punishments, or the proverbial ones, the ones that perhaps aren't yet happened, ones still pending to happen. At the end of the day, we're looking at a situation here where Manchester United haven't yet committed the crimes, but the happenings of those crimes are staring the new ownership right in the face. And you've got to tread on some eggshells here. Ineos know that. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Sir Dave Brailsford, whoever else will know that. And the problems of the mismanagement of Manchester United for 10 plus years has put us into a really precarious spot where FFP have said, nope, you cannot spend as much money as you want to. And this is despite Champions League qualification, which is why it's a conversation that we have when we say, well, Champions League qualification gives us best case scenario here on the finance fronts. That gives us best case scenario. So if failure to qualify for the Champions League is a thing, then the summer might be really limited, might be really disappointing. That's if things stay with the board structure as they currently are. If we have guys like a Dan Ashworth in with the Jason Wilcox, people like that, and I think if there is the essence of a cutthroat approach, I think various instances in raising funds being a necessity, perhaps with more of a sell to buy approach, I think it would be interesting to see just what Ineos can do and just how far they go. And I think for me, given that it's the first summer transfer window, I'm not so much saying that they've got to do a huge amount just for the sake of making an impact, but they've got a lot to do because you can't solve everything in one summer, not with the difficulties of what Manchester United's situation is. If you did manage that, then it's factually the best, most unbelievably talented board on the planet of any club in history, because we are faced with a team filled with players that are low, are significantly low market value. Meanwhile, contract values match the market value players that are roughly about 80, 90, 100 million. So unless a club's crazy enough to think, yeah, no, we'll happily pay insane wages for players, but the transfer fee is going to be really, really small. You're recuperating next to nothing. You're getting payment of next to nothing. But that's kind of the loss that we'd have to take. It's just whether the new board that we can have in place have got the ability to actually maximize as much money from these transfers as possible, because let's not make any mistakes about it. A lot of the players we currently have at the moment were purchased for way above market valuation, and we mean most of them. And that's a big problem, because we know we won't sell them for the same. We'll sell them for significantly less, and since they've been at Manchester United, the market value has also diminished, unless, of course, you are a younger player, which might be where we might hit a bit of a snag come the summer. And that snag is with the squad that we've got, with the players that we want to keep, the players that we think have a bit of a future, are the only real top-notch valuable assets. And if we want to raise significant funds, they are the best bet at raising funds. How far are we willing to go for this? And this is where a part of me is like, brutal business or business brutality. Are we going to get points here where we sell a player that us as fans think, but that's one of our better players? You might be the most valuable on a lower contract, but we need players like this, especially for next season. Guys like if Garnacho gets sold, you don't have a Garnacho anymore. Guys like Kobe Minu get sold, you don't have a Kobe Minu anymore. That's all money that you're probably going to have to reinvest into somebody else, to several other players, guys like a Casemiro and Varane. You sell the highest level of quality of player in your team. Have you got the money to actually then sign players that replace that quality, or still fill the cup to as much as it's necessary to keep a next season afloat? I'm not too sure. And the problem is, and one of the players that has been involved with conversations about selling to raise funds, is a Marcus Rashford. Now, for me, I think we take it. I think we should take it. If you can sell Marcus Rashford to PSG, and I think PSG is probably the most likely location that he would go to, considering Mbappe is going to Real Madrid, I think we've got to invest. We've got to invest in some of these moves, and fan favorite or not, for the betterment of the club. If this is what's necessary, then this is what we have to do. You can't play fan favorites and say, well, our favorite players are being sold. But in the means of business, we need to get money in for the sake of spending it to fix the problems of the squad. Because at the moment, everything's overinflated. all the negative sides of the squad that we have per player, per individual, is overinflated. We need to deflate stuff. We need to fix things. We need to rebalance the books. That's what FFP tell clubs to do. Balance the books. And they talk about it over 3 years. You need to balance your books across the span of 3 years. You sign, I think they said it's about £555 million roughly in terms of spending on player transfers across the last 3 years. And where's £555 million going to come from? We can't raise that this summer. We cannot do that. So where is that money going to come from? It's not that we desperately have to make £555 million, but we need to be making money to recuperate some of that spend that we've had. And, for the players that we've got, it's a tough challenge to do that. It's a very, very tough challenge. And the double negative in this element is that the people currently in charge of the operations have shown zero ability in fulfilling that task. They've not done it yet. They've never done it in their careers. They've never done it in their histories. So why would they start this summer? They wouldn't. They can't start it because they're not capable of doing it. So it makes spending £20 million on Dan Ashworth to pay off a garden leave period seem like absolute necessities, because John Murtagh, can we sell even for this summer? Can John Murtagh sell £100 million worth of players in the summer on his own? I don't think he can. I really don't think he can. I don't think he's got the ability to conjure up or generate interest from clubs to cough up the funds to get us over £100 million in sales. We might need more than that. Realistically, we probably will need more than that. And the guys like your Marcus Rashfords, like your Casemirs, like your Varans might genuinely be the only real option. I suppose Jadon Sancho as well. Jadon Sancho, who's currently on loan, is also a big earner at Manchester United. So once he's back in the summer, I think it's a guarantee that Jadon Sancho has to be sold 100%. I think Marcus Rashford probably realistically should go as well, from a sporting perspective, but also from the finance front as well. Do you sell Anthony? For me, he's not going to prove us anything. As much as Ten Hag might like him, he's not going to prove anything to us, to be honest. And we spent £18 million on him. £18 million. And he's literally not contributed anything. So on that basis, cut your losses. Cut your losses. Sever those ties to player FC and focus on the bigger, more crucial picture, which is the club finances. And we've got to fix those books and fix them fast, because FFP doesn't wait around for people. It doesn't wait around for people. Clubs can't play the long game with FFP. We've got to be moving finances and moving them constantly, but working our arses off to correct the wrongdoings across the past 5 to 10 years, essentially. And it would have to we have to invent a new approach in order to actually become a club that can sell its entities. So whether we've got the ability to do that or not, I'm not too sure. I'm hoping that we can actually, wrap things up a little bit, simplify the task at hand as much as possible. I know that there's the job cuts coming, 250 roughly jobs set to be on the line, which is madness, absolute madness. It literally 250 potential positions under Manchester United's umbrella that are at risk. But it's one of those things where you slim things down, it's less comfortable for people who work for Manchester United. It's less comfortable, so it drives people to be a bit more desperate. What would you be desperate about? Doing a good job. It's essentially the the cruel corporate way of forcing results. Whether they're good or bad depends on the individual that's under the pressure. It is cruel. It is genuinely cruel. But look at everybody else. Do you think they have complacency issues? Do you think they've got people who work at the club who are sat back enjoying stuff, maybe playing a bit of Space Invaders on the secondary tab in their offices? Probably not. There's probably this unwavering desire to deliver for the club because they are constantly under the watchful eye, and we need to have the same. It's just plain and simple as that. And we need to personally work on that sort of slimming project. And it's but perhaps like a Bain once said, it's evil for the for those employees that can have their jobs cut. It's a necessary evil. It's a necessary evil because without that, if you indulge in complacency, then we can sit here and say, oh, we've got a big problem with that. Okay, then. If you've got a big problem with that, then allow me to indulge you in this. Let's not complain about everything mediocre for the past 10 years. Let's kick back and just say, listen, because we feel strongly about these guys that are doing their jobs, whether they're complacent or not. And if it is contributing to us not being successful, then hey, look, we're all for mates rates here. I mean, this Sir Jim Ratcliffe guy coming in talking about cutting jobs, all in the name of success. No, we don't do that here. Bring back Joel and Avram to sit at the top of the tree here, because they're all about jobs for the boys. Get Ed Woodward back in. He's great at that. Keep John Murter, and in fact, promote John Murter. Those are the sort of decisions that we would be enabling if we were not to go through with this whole sense of necessary evil as far as business is concerned. And as ruthless as it is, it's necessary. And, if you are an employee of the club, then sorry for your loss if you lose your job. But at the end of the day, Manchester United Football Club's got to move on. It's got to move on. And just like many other things in life, or everything in most people's lives, everything else has got to move on. Life goes on. So those people got to pick themselves up and dust themselves off and just keep, moving forwards. That's the best that they can possibly do. It's just how things are. You guys might think that's a bit evil in the comments, but it has to happen. Because otherwise, what are Manchester United even competing in football for? Why is there Manchester United Football Club? Why is it there? What is it there for? That's the price you pay to be successful. And that's just the way it's got to be. But anyways, leave your thoughts and your feelings about this FFP concerns down in the comment section below, and what your feelings are with the future in question about how we go about doing our business as Manchester United Football Club. Do make sure to also like the video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. As of the time that this video comes out, I'll be busy at work, as this is a pre-record from yesterday. But do make sure later on tonight that you join us for the next installment of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly show. And I believe it's currently scheduled to be tomorrow night, but it might be moved to another point. So do be sure to keep your eyes and ears, your eyes peeled and your ears open for when that comes about. So until then, take care, goodbye, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.